We're talking about I'm talking about data analysis today. Can you all hear me just to confirm?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we
Okay.
can.
Okay.
Yes, we
Thank
can.
you. Yeah, thank you. So like I said, I'm talking about data analysis today, and my name is Ayodeji. So the question is, who is a data analyst? So we can see a data analyst is someone that collects, organizes, studies, and that studies data to provide business insight. So what that is saying basically is, if I have a data maybe about a student in a class, maybe their results. So from the data from their result, I can see, okay, this student is doing well. But what course is the person doing well in? If it's maths, I'll be able to see, okay, you know. But if, for example, I want to know the average, you know, with that data, I can check the average of the amount of students that are doing well in maybe mathematics or English, or or the average score. Are people doing well? Things like that. So data can tell you a lot of things. Depends on what you want to know. What information you want to know from data. So a data analyst, that person that that you give your data to, and that looks into that data and gives you information about what you want to know. So that's what a data analyst does. So I know I gave a funny example about them. So it could be, when we say business insight. So for example now, it could be like a company, maybe they want to know if they are making they made as much profit as they made last year, this year. So, from their data of sales, you can find out the trends of profits, the growth and things like that, the loss and things like that. So you can find out all these things from data. So we'll just go further to look at how a data analyst goes about his business. Uh, so the role of a data analyst. So the first thing is that, you know if you are a data analyst, first thing is, when you get your requirements, that is what they want you to do. The first thing you want to do is, you want to collect your data, or you want to identify the data that you are going to use to, find out insight about the question that you're trying to answer, or so either you are identifying data from a set of data, or you are collecting the data, from a particular department, or that's for someone that's already identified those data and you are collecting them, or you are identifying the data and collecting it at the same time, or you are moving data around, migrate. So you are moving around from one place, from one like platform to another. That could also be. So you are identifying, you are collecting, and you're migrating data. So you one of the rules, you can do maybe one or the three. So it depends on how big your organization is, and how big your team is. So you can have a team of data analysts, and someone is doing one, and the other person is doing one, and the other person is doing one. So yes, so it really depends. So one other thing that you want to do is you manage, clean, abstract, and aggregate data. So okay, so you want to manage data. How do you manage this data? So for example, you might have, like, let me see. Okay, so like in the school now. So for those of us that we use the portal. So if you do like a registration in your school, so you go to school, you do your registration for this year. Now when you do your registration, there's someone that is maybe like a lecturer that would be the person to to accept your registration. So right, you have a course officer. So that person too is on the portal, but on a different platform. So if you go on your portal, it's not what you are seeing that your what do they call it, your officer will be seeing. So you would have to, it's like at the back end. So you all have different what do they call it, how would I put it, you all have different access to this portal, right? So what I'm trying to explain in essence is this now. If you kind of like make a mistake, maybe during your registration or something, or something like that, is your, what do you call it, is your course officer that would make this correction and stuff to your data. So like different people have like different access to that same platform, right? And different people have different access to that same platform. So you have to, it depends on your access level. So for managing of data now, right? It could be in that manner. Like I said, there are some people that identify, there are some people that, you can be that one entity that identify, that collect and migrate. And also you can be in one of these platforms. So I'm using that example as because there are different level of, management of that same data. You have registered your course. Someone is going there to manage it. Now, if you bring that idea into what do you call it, into data analysis now, in the sense of identifying, collecting, and migrating. Now, at different level, there are different management, right? In the identifying, there's a different management. So maybe you might not have access to that. Someone already has access to that in identify, and I'm passing it on to you, right? That means that the person has done all those things. Um, Now, that means the person has done all those things and passed it on to you. That's the management, kind of like aspect of it. But now when it comes to you, you still have to clean that data, right? So maybe in that data you need some things and you don't need some things. So you have to clean it. Now, you can also have someone that does that cleaning, in that same thing. Someone that knows, okay, these are the things that you need, and you remove all the things that you don't need. But when you now want to even analyze data, you still need to do like maybe some further cleaning, just to, maybe rename some columns just to give it a better name for you to understand the data better. Like say, for example, you have maybe like what can I okay, so let's say for example now you have some columns that maybe they carry a specific type of name, and you are not conversant with that and you want to change the name. So that could be part of your management. That could part of your management, especially when you are moving from say from one would I say from like one system to another. Say for example now the database is SQL and you want to move it to, say for example, Power BI or Tableau. You are connecting your SQL to Tableau or Power BI, and you bring those same data to Tableau. You can change the title of the column, so of each field, and say, okay, just for me to familiarize myself with this, my data, I want to familiarize myself with it. You can, rename them to suit what you understand or what can go with you. So there is the aggregation, the abstract, and the aggregation part. So from aggregation, we know aggregation means adding and subtracting, or to bring to add, to subtract, and things like that. So yeah, you'll be doing a lot of these things in you're doing a lot of aggregation in analysis. Say, for example, you want to find mean, you want to find average, you want to find median, you want to do standard deviation, you want to, all these things is aggregation. It's a kind of calculation. So you are doing, so aggregation in this sense means like, you are calculating things. So it's like calculation. So that's one of the things you do to reach um information, to get information rather, for your insight. So the other part is to manipulate and link different data sets. So manipulation, like it says, is to manipulate a data. So ways that you can manipulate a data is like, maybe for example, you can try different uh how would I put it? So you can try different visualization, just to try to look at data in different ways, to see how it can uh you can get an information from it. So that is the aspect of manipulation, just looking at your data and saying, okay, what can I do to this? What can I, okay, this is, say for example, let me see. Say for example, the first example I gave in the first place now. So you can have a result of students, and all the students are scoring, let us say, you have the list of the result of all the students for a class, say 100 students, and it's arranged according to their position, right? So the first, second, and third up until the 100 position. And you are now, someone is asking you, you want to find out about, maybe a lot of students are complaining about their physics teacher, for example, and you want to find out really how physics, the physics teacher is faring in accordance to the result of the physics of the students taking physics. So first, to be able to manipulate that data, first, you want to remove all the students that are not taking physics from that data set, right? So you kind of like filter them. So that's we are playing around with the data. We are manipulating the data. So we filter them. So we remove those students. Now we are left with the ones that are taking physics. So now we don't really care about the first, second, third, or fourth position. So the next thing we want to now do is, okay, maybe, for example, maybe I want to just play. I just want to look at it because it's not going to be a long data set. Sometimes you might have a really long data set. So because it's not a long data set, so what I can say is, okay, let me even see it in descending order. So I want to see the scores of the physics students in descending order. So that is me manipulating, playing around. But if I want to go in-depth manipulation, I can create a column and say, okay, let me know the the median, right? I'm sorry, not the median, the mean of the score for physics. Say that, for example, it gives me the mean as 60. So we are saying an average score of 60 is the score for physics students. So on the average, if you pick any student, that means this person scores 60. So we now want to know, okay, what's the pass mark? What do we consider as pass mark for physics in in their school? Let us say the pass mark is 65. So now we want to say, okay, let us see how many students are scoring below, maybe. So first we already see that, okay, now that the mean, that's the average of the score of the students, is not even equal to the 60, the pass mark, right? So we are saying that the students are not doing well. But now we want to know how many students are not doing well, right? So we can now create another column and say, okay, give me the list of students. Or we don't even need to create a column. We can say the computer should give us the list of students that are scoring below 65. So you see, this is me manipulating, playing around the data. So it could be something else. I just use that as an example, just to give us a clear understanding of what it means to manipulate the data, and to link different data sets and things like that. So it could be more. You can have one or two or three data sets that you're trying to link together. So that's how you go about that. And then there's the apply tools and techniques to data. So you see, the thing I just explained that is already me applying tools and techniques to to the data. So like I said, I used filter. That's a tool that you use. I'm saying, okay, I'm writing a code saying that, okay, bring me all the students that are greater than 65, greater than or equal to, that's called greater than or equal to 65. That's me using, like, also maybe a tool or a technique of filtering through this data set. Also, I also filtered again in the beginning. I removed the students that are not taking physics from the data set. I also used, the descending and ascending um, tool, or would I say function. So yeah. So, and um, I don't know. I think I put one to one. The filter, all these things are like functions. So the two will most likely be like the what would I call it? The software you're using. So you could be using Excel to do this, you could be using Tableau to do this, or you could be using Power BI, or you could even, yeah, you could do all those things on those tools. So yes, that's that. And then summarize and present the data. So once you are done with all these um analysis that I talked about, you could also provide, would I put it, like visualization. So the kind of insight I was given was like more of a tabular presentation. So you can have something that gives like a visual presentation of these things. So you could have different types of visual present. It could be line, it could be a line graph, it could be a bar chart, it could be um and it could be a map, depends on what you are doing exactly. It could also be like a tree. You could have like a tree map, a bubble diagram, or things like that. So, uh, so what are the importance of data? Is we said already to gain. So you gain greater insight into target market. That's it could be to enhance decision making capabilities, to improve decision making. So if you have, say, for example, um, you know, maybe in a store, now you want to know what product is being sold the most, and what product is not, moving, and you want to make decision around this, maybe to change maybe like your advert, or maybe remove that product from your market and bring in a new product and things like that. So, data analysis, once you have this data, you know the product that is moving and the ones that are not moving and things like that. So you can see trends of things that are being sold and things that are not selling. Then you can create target strategy and marketing campaigns, like I said earlier. So if you want to have like a campaign or a market strategy to sell the items that are not being sold, or you want to look for a way to increase, you know, the sales of the market that are moving, or the products that are moving rather, you can be. It's also improve operational inefficiencies and minimize risk. If you study your data well, you can improve efficiency of of your company. Um, you can improve the efficiency of your company, and you can also mitigate risk of. So with data you can be able to, with that CD, you can be able to check the trends of say, maybe for example you made a decision or some decision in the past, and based on that decision, right, the aftermath of decision will be in the data set, right? So if you look at the data set, you can know, okay, this decision I made earlier was bad. So you can use it to remove risk of making bad decision in the future. So another thing is also identify new products and service opportunity. Yeah. So if you see that a lot of people are, say for example, how would I put it? So if you in developed countries, most especially, like if you go to the store now, for example, and if you go to the store in winter, what you see is different from what you see in summer. What you see is different from what you see in spring and things like that. So with data about the weather, you can use to look for the things that you need. Like during the time of COVID now, the services and the products that were required by people were different, because people were not going out, they were indoor. So they will need people to deliver things to them and things like that. So you see, all this data, they have a way of, if you analyze the data properly, it can give you insight into opportunities and services that you can provide. And services and opportunities of new services and products that you can provide. So let's see. What are the common soft skills that a data analysis require? So one of it is identifying trends and patterns. So seeing through that data, being able to understand what's going on. Like we said, now we are looking. Like I was saying earlier when I was talking about students in physics, so I was trying to look at the trends. Like, what's the average? what's the what's the average of the score of the students that took physics. So you see, I'm trying to look at it. Okay, what is the average in relation to the pass mark? Is it, I'm looking at it, okay, it's not these guys are not doing well. So okay, now what else do I want to look at? I want to know the amount of people that did well, that actually did well, and the amount of people that did not do well. You see, that's me trying to understand some trends and pattern. So then again, if I see that the number is quite a lot, then I'll know, oh, that these people are not doing. I can now look at, okay, what course is actually closer to physics? I can say, okay, mathematics. Let me go and look at mathematics or further math. Are these students doing well in further math? Are they averaging the pass mark? If they're averaging a pass mark, oh, that means something must be wrong in physics. If these other calculation courses they are doing well, they are related to physics, right? They are doing well, then something is actually wrong with physics. So yeah, so identifying those kind of things. Then you must be able to communicate. Not just communicate, um, but be able to communicate data. So you must be able to speak data language. You must be able not like there's like when I say data language, you must be able to pass on the information that the data is passing on to someone in a simple and precise manner. That is very important because most of the people you're dealing with, they will not understand what average is. So I won't be telling them, oh, the average, they might not know what average means. They might know and they might not know. So I don't want to be telling them that, using words like that. I want to use like a simplified word, like, okay, maybe the pass mark. So the pass mark is 60. You're telling them the pass mark for all the students that the amount, the percentage. So I can say maybe 55 or 50, maybe 75% of the students, did not miss the pass mark. You see, that person kind of they understand percentage. That okay, 100%. So we are saying 25% of the students, only 25% of the students passed the the uh the pass mark for physics. They would know, they would also have an average in there, in the school, saying that maybe, for example, in the school I went to, they will tell you that, and the average of students that should pass a course, if the course is doing well, or the lecturer is doing well, the average that should pass the course is 75. So 25 people can fail, but 75 people at least do well. So that means that's success. Some schools might be 80, some schools might be 90, depends. But if you communicate in this matter, it's simplified. These people understand it, right? So you want to be able to communicate in that manner. So data management is the part of collecting data, managing it, and I think we talked about that earlier on. So there are people that there are ways to collect data. There are systems or tools that they use to collect data and manage them. So like databases and things like that. Then data modeling, cleansing, and enrichment. So you can also there's the part of data management or data collection that you do through. You have to model these things, and the cleaning part we talked about that. And enrichment maybe can be also to enhance the understanding of this data, in the sense that let me see okay, to understand this data in the sense that any other person that picks up the data, right, can kind of, when you look at it, you understand that this is what this table is communicating. This is what this or this column is communicating. They should be properly labeled and things like that, and they should properly synchronized. So then there is data quality assurance, validation, and linkage. And that kind of like, almost like your data should be accurate basically, and and they should be all what they call it, validated, in the sense that okay, say for example, there are some data that are live and there are some data that are not live, right? What do I mean by live? So a database is live when any change that is made to the data, right, it automatically, say, for example, so that you better understand what I'm talking about. So before, I talked about having a database and a tool. So you have a tool to manage the data in database. You have a tool to create visualization. Now, as a data analyst, maybe you are working in a department and you are asked to come up with a maybe presentation for for a particular maybe question or one particular question they are trying to find answers to, and you have done that. But along the line, maybe something happened. There was a change in the data in the database. Now, a live data when the data is live, if they change in data, if they make any changes in database, automatically affects your presentation because you see they are linked. It's live, so it's updated. But you see, when you have, how would I put it? When you have a very, very big database, you won't do a live data in the sense that it takes a long time for this data to kind of like synchronize when you have like billions of data columns, right? And you have a system that has to process these things and then pass it on. So most times you don't do that when the data is kind of like really large. And so what they do is that they process these things at midnight, right? And then you collect the data in the morning, and you do your thing, and then but so you see them doing them maybe like weekly or monthly or something like that. So I'm just trying to give you like an insight to. So there is the data visualization, right, which we have been talking about. So there are different kind of visualization that you can come up with. So you can do the bubble diagram. You can do the tree map. You can do the what's it called? You can do box and whiskers. You can do the map. You can do a bar chart, line, graph, a scatter plot. There are different types of data. So there's also the numerical analysis. So I talked about the kind of the types of what do I call it? Kinds of aggregation and things that you can do. So that's where you have this numeric analysis. You have different types that you can do. The more it depends on the data that you are actually looking at before to know what kind of analysis you want to do. You can also have the textual analysis, though I didn't put that. So you can have the textual analysis. You can have different kinds of analysis, right? The textual analysis is more of like a qualitative kind of analysis. Maybe like you have data on maybe like interviews. Say, for example, you ask people their opinion about a product, right? When you ask people about their opinion about a product, they might give you like or you ask for feedback about a product. For all of us that shop on Amazon and things like that. Well, I think that's for me. One of the things that I do first is go to the product feedback of the product to see what people say about the product. Is it a good product? Is it a bad product? And things like that. You see, if you want to analyze this kind of information, because it's given in textual form, you want to contextualize, it in terms of themes or, there are different ways to analyze data, right? And depends on the kind of data that you're analyzing. So we have the logical and creative thinking. So you see, from what I'm saying, you have to be logical and you also have to, be creative. So whatever it is that you're doing, there has to be a logic behind it. And there is no way to there's no one way to, like they say, there's no one way to the market. So you have to be very creative. You can do things in different ways and you still get the same answer. So the statistical method and so yeah, the statistical method, we talked about some of it. The mean, the median, the mid rather. So the mean, the median, the mode, we know that the mean means the average. The median is the one in the would I say the one in the center. I don't think that's correct. So if you have like uh the ages of people from 100, from maybe the ages of people in a class. So the one that falls in the middle, if you add it up. So I think the formula is going to be the number of students plus one divided by two. So that will give you the middle, the one in the middle. But whereas mean is like the average. When you say the average age, we add the ages together. So all the ages we add it together and divide it by what the number of the age. So we have the mode, right? The mode is the frequency. So if we say mode. So you can have like in a class of maybe a class of maybe say in GS1. Now we know the average age for GS1, students will be probably like 12. Maybe now we even get people that are in GS1 that are 10 years old. But we want to know that the average is around 12. 12, yeah. So if you complete your primary six, we want to know, I think it's around 12. So if we in that class we have a lot of students that fall within the range of 12. So the frequency of 12 will be quite high. So we can have like 10, maybe two people or three people that that are really smart that got into GS1. And you can have some people that are on the high side in terms of age, maybe older, maybe people that are kind of like slow in their learning process. Uh and we have maybe like that fall to 13, 14 in that same GS1, right? So these are some of these methods that I just mentioned. Then the common um tools that we use. So for visualization tools, I think I mentioned Microsoft Excel earlier. There's Tableau, there's Power BI, and there are so many other ones. For database, to query database, we have SQL. So I think on this program you'll be learning, they'll be teaching you, I think Microsoft Excel, Tableau, and Power BI. But as you go along, you would find out more. Database, they'll be teaching you SQL, but I put Python there just in case you want to pick it up, and R in case you want to pick it up yourself to learn. But they won't be taking that on this program. Um, the techniques, I think we mentioned data cleaning, we mentioned visualization, as the cluster analysis and the time series analysis. I'll just try to explain the cluster a bit too. So, cluster. So, say for example now, uh, uh, okay, say for example now you have like uh, I don't know if I can. Okay, say for example you have a graph, right? For all of us that did, yeah, I think everyone did mathematics. So there'll be times where you would have to plot like graph for your in quadratic equations. So if, for example, you are maybe you plot the graph of quadratic equation, you can have like your your plot like a lot of plot everywhere, right? But the quadratic equation goes like it's a curved kind of like graph, and it doesn't necessarily touch all the points that you are picking, all the points that comes on your graph, right? It just goes through a path, trying to tell you that, oh, trying to show you the pattern in which it goes through. So that's like kind of like you have that's uh, almost like similar to something that is clustered. um I don't know if you can picture what I'm talking about, but yeah, when you have a lot of plots on a graph, right? Then when you have a lot of then you have a line that cuts across just to kind of explain the pattern, right? I don't know if you can understand what I'm trying to say, but yeah, if you can picture it, yeah, that's like the best explanation I can give for that. Then we have the time series analysis. So let's say, for example, the time series is almost so okay, say for example now we are I know we all know what average means, right? So there's what they call moving average. So a moving average is a type of time series analysis. Now, what I think on default, when you try to do a moving average is done for three entities. So what do I mean? I'm saying if you are going to check for the average moving average is almost like average. So we are saying the average of today is maybe the average of the sales of today is 10,000 pounds. Say, for example, the average of sales today is 10,000 pounds. Now, if you say the moving average is three entities, so the entity could either be, it could be maybe like seconds, it could be hour, it could be day, it could be weeks, it could be months, right? It could be years. So we look at that entity. So if we're now saying moving average, we are looking for, okay, say we are doing on daily affairs. So we are saying the moving average will be done for 3 days. So it will be done for today, yesterday, and the day before. So so that's 3 days, right? So that's how the moving average works. But that makes it a time series. So you are doing the average for 3 days at once, just to see, just to merge it up and see, how the average, moves. But now you can even go further. You can increase, you can make it more dynamic, right? And increase it. So you can have moving average for 100 days, 200 days, 300 days, depends on how you want to do it. So that's how you do the time series analysis. That's an example of time series analysis, checking the average over a time frame, right? It gives you a better, understanding of the data. So if, for example, let me say we are looking at a product, and that product, let me think of one product say you are trying to sell, you are selling you are selling a grill. Now you see a lot of people grill during the summer, but during winter nobody goes out in the cold to grill, right? So I'm talking of a barbecue grill, the one that you use firewood or whatever. So if you are looking at the sales of a product like that, of course, during the winter, the sales might go up, and during the summer, I'm sorry, during the summer, the sales might go up, and during the winter, the sales might be like cold because no one is buying it. So if you look at the data like that in the time series, right? If you look at data like that, normally like the time series, you would be able to draw a pattern to the sales. You don't want it to be up and because it's going to be up and down if you just do like a normal average. So if you want one that you'll be able to see how it goes with the time, with the time in terms of the weather. So you'll be able to see it properly. And that's how the time series works. So we have the data ethics and the privacy. So you must data, like for example, you are planning, either you are on this program already or you are planning to join this program. So you are going to put in your data, right? You're going to put in your name. They might probably ask for your age. You might even be paying. So you might put in your card details. You might be putting so many things that are personal. So you must be able to make this data private. So if that's your backend, wherever you're collecting this data, there must be data privacy. You don't just want to put your data and the names too. That's why sometimes they use, like, for example, in school now they use, you have your student identity number, so you don't have your name everywhere. People don't just know your name, so it's your number. You understand? So that's a way of private, keeping your information private. Maybe the ethics, how you who has access to what information. I think I talked about that earlier on. Like if you register as a student, your course advisor is the one that would have access to all the students' information. So as a student, I don't have access to my friend that were in the same or my colleagues. I don't have access to their information. It's just my own information I have access to. Is the course advisor the one that has that access, that has access to everyone's information. And there's report writing. So every time you carry data or you do a summary of analysis, you must pass on the information that you found, the insights, you must pass it on to someone. And like I said, it must be communicated in a simple and precise format so that they don't miss the information they're trying to pass across. So that's part of report writing, putting down the information that you found out and carefully documenting the visualization that you have also put together and all those things. So yeah, and that's report writing. Then professional levels in data analysis role. So we have the associate analysis, or sometimes junior analyst, or sometimes junior analyst. And sometimes you could also have other entry levels as um, what's it called? As we go along, if I remember, I would say it. Then there's the mid level, just after the associate and the senior data analyst, then the principal data analyst. Uh, yeah. So the one before the associate is the internship, role for analyst. So that's the first one. So then industrial sectors that you could work with as a data analyst. So you can work in finance, health, e-commerce, marketing, in government, parastatal, in tech, in so on. You can work in education, like I've been talking about. I think I give a lot of education examples. You can also work in education. You can work in anywhere that you use data. You analyze data as a person every day. I'm sure you check your weather before you go out every morning, or yeah, so that you can decide what clothes to wear, what car to drive, and things like that. So we always every sector you know, requires a data analyst. But the only difference is that some sector might require them more than other sector. But every sector requires someone that analyzes data. So what is the average salary of the data analyst in the UK? So you can see what we have here is 44,000 pounds annually for it can be it can be higher than we have 51,000. It can be higher than that, and we have the lower 39. It can be lower than that sometimes, and it depends. So yeah, I think the average for the senior role, as for the, I'll just go back there. So for the mid-level, sorry for sorry about that. So for the mid-level and the senior role, I think falls within the average, right? So this is another one. So you can see this one, the maximum is almost 80, minimum is 25, and the average is 41 um, annually. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ayodeji, for that comprehensive intro. That didn't feel like an intro at all. It felt very detailed. I'm sure many of us on the call got a lot from that. And I won't take our time. So it's question time. Anyone has got question for Ayodeji? Miracle, I see your hand is up. Please go ahead.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ayo, for that detailed presentation. I quickly want to ask, is there any global certification for data analysts?
Okay. So best to my knowledge, I know Microsoft has what would I call it? Like certification for Power BI. That separately, for Power BI. I think they also have for Excel. Um, I know Tableau they have their certification for Tableau. They have different level of certification for Tableau as well that is recognized, nationally or universally. Or but in terms of so yeah, in that at that level, yes, I know they have like certification. But aside from that, I don't know of any entity that in itself, maybe only if they are in partnership, right, with Tableau, or in partnership with Power BI, or in partnership with this yeah, that offers this certification. So I don't know if I answered your question right.
So you're saying that you getting the certification in Power BI or Tableau it still covers for uh, data analyst certification. Like what I'm saying, like like projects.
Let me weigh in on this because Power BI is data analysis is a global one. Is the law of tools, right? That you need to know, right? Each one of them, there are different certification. It's not like you go to uni and you say, "Oh, I'm a certified," or "I'm now a data analyst." You get a certificate. Of course, you will give you that on Blue Sky, but each of these applications, you need to, if you want, you can get certified on them. So there's SQL Server certification, there's Power BI, there's Tableau, there's Excel. Yeah, so each one of them, if you want to get certification on that, you can get certified on each of them. So, but none of them will give you that, now you're a Power BI, or none of them will give you a certification that you are a data analyst, so to say. I think that's what Ayo actually said anyway. Yeah.
Okay, that's clear now. Thank you, Mr. Deji.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Deji at the top for weighing in on that. Now that we have two Dejis, we have to find a way to distinguish the two. Any other question from anyone else? Miracle, you can put your hands down. Okay, Ada, please go ahead.
Thank you, Ayo, for the presentation. Okay, so I would like to know, is there any different or what makes financial analysis a little bit different from every other data analysis? Because it seems to, or from the way I understand it, or the way I see it, it seems to me as if it's the skills or the knowledge needed for it is a little bit different from every other one. Or maybe I'm the one mistaken.
Okay, I'll just give maybe like an insight into this. So, say for example, now, if I'm going to analyze data in the education sector, I have to understand how the education sector works, right? So, if I would analyze data in finance, I have to understand how finances works. I have to understand what profit means. I have to understand what capital means. I have to understand what marginal profit is, how to calculate these things. Do you understand? So if you are going to work anywhere, you might have the understanding of trends, you might have the understanding of the tools, but if you don't have the knowledge of what to use them for, then you just have the head knowledge of the tools. Just like Miracle asked earlier on, you can have certification, you might know how to use these tools, but you have the idea of a data is to apply the tools at work. So now you want to apply it in finance, so you have to understand, say I'll give you an example. Now you have in finance, you have all these accountants, right? A lot of accountants also require data analysis knowledge, but in accounting, they are certified accountants, but not necessarily data analysts. So they still have to learn to use the tool, data analysis. So they have the head knowledge of accounting, but they need data analysis to be able to make decision, to be able to see the trends. I don't know if so likewise, if you are working in the health sector too, you have to have the head knowledge of what you are working on. You have to have that head knowledge of wherever you're going to work. You have to have that head knowledge aside from the analysis part. So the analysis part is one aspect, then the other part is where you're working in. How do you use that knowledge of analysis to carry out the day-to-day activities of the actual work that is being done in that place. So that is why they all differ. So what you are doing in finance is different from, okay, say in finance, when we say finance, let us try to be precise. When we say finance, are we talking about banks? So in a bank, they have their finance sector, right? In health care, they also have their finance sector. In any sector, they must have their finance sector, right? So aside from finance sector, there are other things that they also need people to analyze data with. You know, there are also other departments where they need the knowledge of a data analyst, right? Even in yeah, so there are other departments. So you can also work in other departments within the sector. This is just giving you saying that, oh, you are not limited. You can work anywhere. That's what that industrial sector is just telling us, that we can, as data analysts, we can actually work anywhere. So far it involves the use of data. I don't know if I'm able to answer your questions. Question correct.
Yes, you did. But that also brings me to another question. Sorry.
Okay.
Juliet, I hope I'm allowed.
Carry on.
10 seconds.
Okay. All right. So I had a little bit of an experience managing data and doing some analysis with it, little bit. But I have an interest in customer service, customer retention, customer engagement, performance optimization. So I would like to know, is there any advice or any particular role or any advice you can give on how to direct my learning or my knowledge acquiring, or which angle I should go, something like that.
Okay. Yeah, to my understanding, right? I know there are some. What would I? There's a word for it. I'm trying to remember the word. If I remember, I would say it later. But what you are trying, what to understand, or to understand customer preferences, right? There are certain, would I say, KPIs that they look at, right? And you have to understand this KPI, right, to be able to analyze data in relation to customer. So I think you are on the right path, because KPIs is one of the things that you look at as a data analyst. So not just for customers, also for your staff themselves. You want to know how your staff are doing, their performance. So so yeah, so the performance of the customers, the performance of the staff, the performance of the product, all these things. These are things that you want to look at. So yeah, I think you're on the right path.
Okay, thank you, Ayo.
Yeah.
Okay, you used 20 seconds, but don't worry, you're forgiven. I don't see any other hands up. Does that mean we're all okay? We're all happy? Any other questions for Ayodeji before we wrap up for tonight? Oh, okay. It seems we're all fine. So thank you so much, Ayodeji, for your time tonight. Thank you for taking us through the taster of data analysis. I'm sure that those that have registered for the course, they now have something to look forward to, and it promises to be an exciting ride. Sorry if I start a bit partial. I've just finished the data analysis course as well, so yeah, it's right off my street. All right. Before we close for tonight, I don't know if Deji has any. Oh, sorry, apologies. Ola, do you have a question?
Just a quick question. Is there any taster for the planning session?
Oh, I'm assuming you didn't join at the beginning.
No.
So yeah, that's fine. So we had initially planned that for tonight as well, but the trainer for the project planning is unavoidably unavailable tonight. So apologies for that, but it's been rescheduled for next week, and we will let you know when next week that will be happening.
All right, thank you.
Apologies for that. The trainer wasn't available today, but hopefully we will be able to slot it into one of the sessions next week. That's all right.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay, no worries. So I was gonna ask if Deji had any information to share with us before we close for tonight.
Yeah, thank you so much, Julius, for that. So yeah,